I can't wait to watch that back later and see how in sync we all are.
Hi.
Welcome back. How's everybody doing?
Right.
What was that instrument, Jen?
It was a frog.
Sorry, I had a Chipotle bowl.
From NASA.
Welcome to Outside the Inn, everybody. We are the Travis Larson Band. This is the first week in many, many weeks where we've just decided to just have the band. We had a couple of heavy-hitting weeks there, right? We had the bass player for the Dixie Dregs, and then we had the bass player for the Dixie Dregs.
Right.
What's funny is that when I put that out there originally as a teaser, I said we're going to have a couple of people from one of our most influential bands that played the same role in that band, and people said Steve Morris and now I'm going to blank out and get in trouble, but the the original guitar player for Deep Purple, Richie Blackmore. Yeah, they said Steve Morris and Richie Blackmore. I'm like, yeah, we could get those guys. One of those guys.
Right.
But yeah, something tells me that wouldn't happen. But thanks for the confidence in our little dog and pony show here on the TLV. So this week, you might notice that I've got a bunch of lit umbrellas and cameras and tripods around me today. This week.
Now that you mentioned it, I do.
I've been working as we've been talking every week, continuing to refine the TLV studios here, the Treehouse, and I've gotten it to a point where Jen and I did some R&D yesterday, and I have run a cable out the door of the studio down into the window of the office and created a control room in the office where Jen could come and run multicam shoots of me doing stuff. So Monday I am doing the first multicam live thing, and that's going to be a clinic for every summer, and like a year ago we would have been on tour and up in Washington, and we always try and do a clinic up there at Ted Brown Music, and unfortunately this summer we can't, but I'm going to do the clinic anyway this Monday at 6:00 via the miracle of the TLV Treehouse Studios here. And Jen's going to run a multicam thing, and there's going to be all kinds of cool production. It's going to be a miracle of modern science. So after we get through that, and by the way, if you're interested in signing up for that clinic, originally it was for the students only, and they decided that they would make it open to the public to help support the music program there. So if anybody is interested in coming and hanging out for this guitar clinic Monday night at 6:00 Pacific, the sign up link is in the description for this feed right here. So go check that out. They have an event up, and within the event, they have an actual link that takes you to, you sign up for the clinic. And then I think what they do is they send you a video link for the clinic before it happens. But it's not going to be a public thing. You have to sign up. So anyway.
Am I going to sign up also?
Well, I think you're going to get to see it before they see it because there's a 20-second delay.
Oh, so, right. Right.
Yeah, you're going to have to be on that button for when Trav melts down and starts swearing.
Yeah,
right.
So Jen will she'll be making her directorial debut on Monday at 6. That's really what it is.
Suddenly Jen's under pressure.
Not my directorial debut. No. That would be a host of many other projects we've already completed. Anyways.
Right. Well, let's do your directorial live television debut.
Okay, great. Right? Yeah, right? Thanks for that pressure.
We're gonna be on the YouTube, and on the YouTube they stream, having billions and billions of people streaming all over the place.
Right.
This description you had.
camera options to work with too. So
you have 8 camera options to work with. Look at this. Look at this mess. In here.
Not technically. Okay. Whatever. It is what it is. Hey, Karen Lee is out there, and Vicky and Tom.
Karen.
Hey, everybody.
There's
Hi,
Karen.
Tom.
Hi, Karen.
Yeah, I saw Karen's name when I was just jamming on the drums.
So, I miss everybody so much because this time of year we'd be out, seeing y'all. And well, I mean, you're seeing us, but it sucks not seeing you. We should do like a huge Zoom meeting with everybody.
Yeah, can you do that?
Oh yeah.
I think there's like everybody would be like this big.
Yeah, they'd be like this big.
I have friends who teach dance through Zoom, my friend.
Oh wow.
It's just like 30 people, 30 little squares, and people knocking toasters off counters and all out of time.
Can you get like 500 people into a Zoom meeting?
Who knows?
Knocking toasters off of counters?
Yeah, it turns out dance takes up a lot of space. Like my friend, singer Natalie, she teaches dance, and she's a dance instructor, and she's doing it on Zoom, and she's like talking about how she has to make this space, and she's doing it on tile, and it hurts her knees and stuff. But meanwhile, all the kids are doing it in their house, and I have one of my drum students as a dance student, and she's like, "It's hard to find the space. I'm always hitting my wrists on the walls."
Okay, I see.
So you got to explode a space.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, so back to the TLV extravaganza. So Monday I'm doing this clinic, and that is really kind of a dry run to see. We've done much testing, but this will be a full-on people actually viewing test and see if we get through it all. And then if Monday goes okay, or even if it doesn't, if we figure out what all our issues are, then Wednesday I'll announce the next live performance live stream. And I think that's probably going to be a week from this coming Wednesday. But I just want to make sure everything works on Monday before we commit to anything like that. Because a clinic, things could be, you could have issues, and a clinic's still okay because I'm kind of showing how to do stuff. I'm taking questions. But, if you're performing and all of a sudden you're just stuck on the shot of my thigh for an hour and a half, you can't get off of it.
Whoa, enough of that. That description of the cable going outside and into the window, you for the first time made TLB Productions susceptible to, rodents chewing through cables outdoors.
That's true. What's really funny is my brother, just for people that don't know, he's an electrician. And so he sent me a text tonight where he had taken his big flat screen TV and he had raised it up like 3 inches on his wall. And he mounted everything through the wall. So there's like no wires or anything on the wall. And he's got those lights behind stuff, so it looks cool, And then he's took the speakers for the surround system and actually mounted them into the wall. So they're actually just a speaker on the wall, no wires or anything going to it. And he ran all that stuff through, and he's been spending, I haven't heard from him in days, so I know he's been working on a project, and this was the project. Anyway, he sends me this picture of this whole beautiful setup, huge home entertainment system. And I sent him back a picture of this cable coming out the window of the office. And I said, "That's super awesome, Dad. That's so cool. I knew you must have been working on a project. I ran an HDMI cable through the window, and it's coming through the side door of the studio here." I actually had to use a hole that was already in the screen because the screen had a hole. So I stuck the HDMI cable through the screen hole.
Awesome.
This is the technology that we're dealing with over here at the Treehouse Studios.
Well, necessity is the mother of invention.
There has been a lot of other stuff going on there. As you can see, I've got umbrellas and I've got tripods, and I've been, getting various. I've got all these little cameras from, these little Logitech.
I am actually using a new camera tonight. In case I don't know.
You look fabulous.
I'm high def now. Oh no.
You look great.
Anyway. Should we just do this the whole show?
There you go. It's the Jennifer Young hour.
That's all anyone wants. It's the Jennifer Young hour.
No, I'm sure. The HD has always been a little not. Girls don't like HD. That's just the way it goes.
I got to up my game now.
I see.
Okay, go back to the other one. Enough of this one.
I see Vicky says, "Hi, Larry Mitchell." So I assume Larry's watching.
Larry's in.
So Larry, next time I do a live performance, you got to check it out because I'm doing the multiple camera thing. I don't know if you heard us talking, but it's going to be very exciting.
Larry's not paying attention. He's just saying you look great, Jen. Similar to when Larry shows up at shows with just Jennifer Young shirts.
Yeah.
Supporting not the band, but Jen.
I need to get myself a Larry Mitchell shirt. I got it.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, we played
Karen
a show.
says Randy Aller would have loved these sessions you guys do. And oh my gosh, could you imagine having Randy on this show? Oh, that would have been so amazing.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Bowling alley with lips.
Yeah. That would have been one for the books right there.
Yes, you're right.
Dale Moon is a bowling alley with lips.
Oh, that's so great.
What's the Karen joke he used to always say, the 60 Minutes one?
Takes her an hour and a half to watch 60 Minutes.
My wife, it takes her an hour and a half to watch 60 Minutes. Where's the rim shots?
I know.
By the way, speaking of rim shots, I have a goofy show and tell, but it's not pressing.
Let me real quick, let me mention before we get too far that we are, first of all, today, August 1st, is the anniversary of the very first day of MTV in the history of MTV.
Really?
Yes. So August 1st, 1981, the best year of years, in my opinion, by the way. Anyway, so in celebration of the first day of MTV, when MTV meant music television, we are going to do another world premiere video tonight.
Oh, boy.
At the end of our show, which means Dale got the footage together this week.
It's so hot in that rehearsal space, you guys. I just came from there. Oh,
and this is a very special one. This is a song that when we came out with this song, this is not off of Annika. This is an older song. Everybody wanted us to play it. We never played it. And then finally we started playing it on the last tour. And then we couldn't play it on the last tour because of technical issues. Yep. So we did this is the first video release we have for this song of any kind of live performance or distant live performance. Well, we'll find out at the end of the show.
No, come on. Tell us now.
But here's the thing. I got all dressed up for it because I thought the song is so reminiscent of like a secret agent theme that I dressed up for it.
Okay.
I don't mean right now. I mean in the actual performance. Right now I'm wearing a shirt that Boyd gave me, which is...
Here's a hint.
Huh?
That was my hint.
Okay. This is going to segue really well, I think. I don't mean to, I'm going to change the subject.
Yeah, right.
Dale, you had talked about bringing up stories of previous guests. And you remember the one guest who used to play the game with us? Guess this song in the fewest amounts of notes?
Yes.
Yes.
So Dave Martone.
Yes. Guess this song. Boop, boop.
I was talking to you guys about how much, like, you do a whole podcast or a webcast, but then there's a few things that later you think of, or they just didn't organically show up in the conversation. And do you guys remember that, where we would sit around on the Digitech truck with Dave Martone, and I don't know if you guys had Process Sound or not, or if it was just people handing around an unplugged guitar, but he would, it was like Name That Tune, but I don't remember what he called it, but you'd start with one note and then you'd play two notes and three notes. Yeah. I think I know. Is it Smoke on the Water?
Yep.
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah, that's what it would be like, though. It would be like that. So we did that. Well, go ahead.
Well, at least that was like had tone to it and everything. So I remember playing it with Dave, and he just had the craziest freakish ear. And yeah, you guys chime in. But I remember you, Travis, play just like a note, like a single note, like dirt.
Well, it was like that, right?
Yeah.
And then Rick Beatty.
Well, then Dave just names it in the first note. Right. And I remember you going, well, I mean, I've got a pretty good ear. I'll be okay at this. And you played one note and he goes, message in a bottle of police. And you just looking at him like, what was that? What did somebody tell you I like the police? He goes, I don't know. No.
Because I was doing this.
Oh, he knew the chord. Yeah.
Yeah. So then you hand the guitar to Rick Beatty, and before he plays a note, he goes, "You're gonna play Hey Joe by Hendrix. Give me that."
Yeah, he had his hand right here, and he knew he was about to go.
It was the funniest thing where you're just like, "What's going on here?" Nobody, like, you can barely get one note out, and he can name it out of anything. Anyway, that was a fun Dave Martone story. Just freakish ear and sitting around not being boring, even though there was nothing to do at like 1 a.m. on a semi-trailer truck with no hotel room.
Yeah. I remember, cooking weird meals out in the parking lots. And well, I guess maybe that wasn't with Martone. We were a little more upscale by then with him. He probably wouldn't have gone for that. I don't remember. But
Martone, you could probably just make a whole regular episode because there's so many of those stories about him.
We could talk about this now because the truck is defunct. But I wonder. Sorry, I was seeing if I had a miniature of the truck to hold it up. This was on the Digi truck, but Dave, it's not legal to ride in the trailer of a tractor trailer truck.
Right. No, it's not.
And so the first gig we did with Dave, which I talked about on Martone's episode of Outside the Inn, where first of all, we showed up, we were playing Las Vegas. That was the very first gig ever with Dave Martone in like 2007 or something like that. And he shows up there and he's dressed to the nines and he's ready to perform. And we're like wiring the stage and busting out huge cable snakes and PA gear. And he immediately said, "Do you have any gloves? What can I do?" Which just immediately made him one of us. That was awesome. He wasn't, even though he came like dressed for stage and he was like ready to go, he was like, "Oh, these guys are working. Okay, what can I do?" Which is not what most people would do. Anyway, point is, we had to drive from Vegas to LA. And so there's video out there of Dave and Rick Beatty in the back of the Digitruck. There's a window on the door of the Digitruck. So they're jamming in the studio of the Digitruck and with backing tracks. They're like trading solos and stuff. And you see cars like passing by in the background.
That's right.
It's just nothing but vast desert between, Las Vegas and Los Angeles. And those guys are out there in the desert in the middle of the day, and you're seeing like cars go by and they're jamming. And it's like Paul, the manager of the Digitruck, was like, make sure nobody sees that because, it's, you guys aren't supposed to be back there. It's that there aren't seatbelts. It's not legal.
No, much less setting up a party vibe.
Right. Much less
Jen, do you remember
jamming.
This? I think only Jen will remember this. I forget if you were in the cab, Travis, but Rick and Jen and I were in the back. And there's another one of these things where you just you're not supposed to be riding back there. And they had a whole entertainment system in this thing. And there was a couple of movies, and both of them seemed like, in retrospect, silly ideas. But I don't know if Rick was anxious or not, but I can't remember. We just decided, what do you guys want to watch? And I was like, well, for some reason I said, well, there's a Tarantino movie here. Let's watch Death Proof, which is just about people dying in car accidents.
Right.
Well, we're powerless in the back of us. It's probably safety reasons. We're not supposed to be back there.
Probably.
And then about half hour into the movie, I'm like, oh, maybe I'm a jerk for suggesting this movie.
Yeah.
But the other one was Apollo 13, which is about people who haven't had
Stuck
access.
in a capsule.
Yeah.
Right.
It's very much like a typical road experience.
And the thing about the Digitruck was because let's just blame it on those guys, but they very much liked the air conditioner, like to the point where there was literally like ice building up on the windows. I mean, it was like, it might as well have been a refrigeration truck. And so you'd be in the back of the Digitruck trying to sleep at night. Like there were sleepers in there, and about half the time we would do the sleepers and half the time we would do hotel rooms to keep the budget down. And partly because they built the sleepers, we should use them, but none of the artists were really willing to do that too much.
Yeah.
So
I remember eventually, sorry.
I was going to say, even Martone, like none of us were like, yeah, I'm not going to sleep in the truck 2 nights in a row.
The most fun part about Martone was the things that you were exasperated with, he would have a voice about. Like Paul would always want to get going at 8 a.m, and we're like, what are you doing? It's a bunch of music. There's a music tour. We're not leaving at 8. And so we would grumble and try to get going at like 9 or 10. And then as soon as Dave was on, you know what? I watched one time. I happened to be going by, and Paul's banging on Dave's door, and he opens it just like with, I don't know, like underwear and a guitar. And he's just like, what? He's like, we got to go. He's like, slams the door.
Well, here's the thing. No one told Dave about that. So he figured, he said, when's the gig tomorrow? And everybody said 4:00.
Right.
The gig starts at like 4, goes till 7 every day. And Dave would open and then we would play. And this was in the front of whatever Guitar Center or Sam Ash there was in the town. And we were touring America, going from town to town to these box stores. Larry Mitchell says, too cold, by the way.
Yeah.
Don't we know it, Larry? So nobody told Dave on the first day that Paul was going to do that. And so he was thinking, okay, I got to be up at what, 1:00?
Exactly.
And so Dave was drinking beer until like 3 or 4 in the morning.
Yeah. Right.
Like he's like, hey, you guys, come hang out.
Yeah. Which is not too crazy of a touring behavior, really.
Yeah,
but what is crazy is knocking on a guy's door at 8 in the morning. So, you're ready.
We gotta go.
Gotta go. So you'd get up, you'd just completely haul ass, and then you would sit in a parking lot for 5 hours.
Yep. I think eventually we figured out the temperature thing where you guys would be in the cab, and then Paul and I would actually just sleep on the stage part of the truck, which was separated. It would just become outdoor temperature in that part of the truck overnight and in some of these freezing parts of the country. And he's like, I don't care. I'm never cold. And I'm like, I'm actually never cold either, but I want my bands to be comfortable. So Paul and I would just sleep on the stage, on the plywood stage, like in sleeping bags at freezing temperature.
Yeah, but Jen and I were locked in the sleeper with Rick Beatty.
Yeah.
So it wasn't any different up there. It was still an ice box.
Okay. So I thought it stayed warmer in there or something.
And Rick Beatty would every single night put the Transformers on loop. And it would be like he was watching it in a movie theater. And Jen and I would be trying to sleep. And the Transformers would be on the big screen, like just rumbling like all night long. He's like, I need it to sleep.
Yeah,
I can't go to sleep without it. And so he would fall asleep and I would get up, sneak down and turn it off. And then like 2 hours later, I'd wake up and it would be back on again.
I thought you guys at least had it warmer right there.
It would be like,
I thought it held the heat or something. Okay.
Now Jen and I would pile more and more sleeping bags on top of ourselves.
Good times.
Good times.
It was a lot of fun though. Like one of my most favorite just personal touring experiences ever is hanging out and watching Dave every day play and then jamming with him and being around Tristan, who was the truck driver sound guy. And like, just the humor was just out of control.
Yeah. Yeah. I forgot if we talked about Tristan very much yet, but when we were introduced to the Digitruck, Tristan was a driver and he seemed like he was about 16, but obviously he must've been 20 or whatever. But he was just a, gangly, like teenage looking kid, but he could drive a truck great.
He was 17-year-old Jim Carrey is what he was.
Yeah. Yeah. And you'd stop at a truck stop and guys would have, the big fleece line. Guys look like Brian Johnson from AC/DC, right? Boots. Right, and he had like flip-flops and a Tonka shirt.
Right. And shorts.
He'd flop down and fill up his truck. Yeah.
He'd be like, I got to go use the restroom. And he'd be like flip-flopping into these restrooms at these truck stops with all these like 250-pound, 300-pound truck drivers wearing flannels.
But he would try anything. He was fearless with the truck. He was great at driving it. He'd look at things, get back in the cab, and jackknife the truck so hard that he's like the back end of the truck is in front of him, and he's driving backwards and like making some weird corner. Yeah.
It's funny because we were talking about Randy Aller, and one of the chief times that happened was at the Cleveland Guitar Center with the Digitruck, where the parking lot of that, I forget which specific one it is, because there's a couple of different regions of Cleveland where there's 2 different guitar centers, but there's North Olmsted. Okay. So there's a little parking lot in front of the store, and there's like a big divide, like one of those planter divides to the next parking lot. And that's the only way it was long enough to get the truck in. You couldn't drive the truck into the driveway of the parking lot because it was one of those little tight angle drive in and turn right. And so he had to go into this other parking lot for another shopping center and drove over the planter divider to get it into the parking lot of the Guitar Center so we could set up the stage there and play. And I remember that because Randy Aller and his wife, Karen, who was just on here, took us to lunch or dinner before we played at that gig. So they came and picked us up because there was no way the truck was going anywhere.
You guys remember that place in Erie? I should remember the name.
It's World of Music. That's Joe Travers' place.
Yeah, right. So then we had a similar thing where he had to get that truck back into there, and we all had to get out and just block traffic in 4-lane boulevard for a long time. And then the place across the street, we're getting a bunch of like weird reactions from people, not just indignant, but kind of weird. And then we gradually realized it was some kind of a psychiatric facility.
Yeah.
So
we slept in the parking lot of the psychiatric facility. Remember that? Right. That's the real story. Is we came in at 3 a.m.
That's right.
We were at the music store. You couldn't park it there. It was too hard, and it was nighttime, so he wasn't going to try. So the only parking lot we could find was at an insane asylum right across the street. And when we woke up in the morning, everybody was like, "What is this effing truck doing in the parking lot of this mental hospital?"
Yeah, and without seeming insensitive, the reactions we were getting from people were kind of out there. Patients, showing
Karen's still here. She says she remembers that.
Nice. Well,
yeah, the World of Music thing, actually, I mean, the guys at that store are great. That's turned into a long running thing where every year we usually go out there and do a clinic too.
Yeah.
But for all based off of that one trip. But yeah, that was the trip where, so again, Paul waking us all up. He woke us up at like 5:36 in the morning so they could move the truck because he was so concerned about them getting written up or something.
Yep.
So he comes in and he's just like, "We have to move the truck. We have to move the truck. We're parked in a mental institution parking lot."
So. Where's Paul? Boy. How come he's not on these things?
I know.
I wonder if he's even aware.
He doesn't do the Facebook, but his wife does. So.
Well, we got to get him on here.
She usually hips him to it.
Speaking about, memories and such, we talked about where we were 1 year ago today.
Yes.
1st of August.
So exactly 1 year ago today, we were in the snap dab in the middle of the Aristocrats tour.
Snap dab?
Snap dab, snap crackle. But the reason I remember it is because so on that tour, we blew up one of the monitors. We when I say we, I mean the bass player for the other band.
Yeah.
that has his monitors louder than the PA in front.
Yes.
But and these are my monitors, by the way.
Yeah.
And set for
everything but bass.
Yeah, what was it? Like whatever. The DSP allows many options, and one of them was like public announcement, or what was it?
Yeah, Speaker. Well, the idea is for somebody that doesn't know about audio engineering, what we did with these monitors is basically pull all the low end out of them so we wouldn't blow them up, because the bass player was running so much bass through them that they were just barely hanging on. So what you do is you EQ out all the low end so that you're not as hard on the monitor, but you can get still the clarity of the bass in your face, and he still blew it up. So that was the day before we headed into Canada that he blew it up. And so instantly we had to figure out how to get another monitor for the Canada run, because we were in Canada for 5 days. So we ran around to guitar centers, found a guitar center that had something comparable, grabbed that monitor, bought it for like $500 or $600 or something like that, knowing we would return it to the guitar center, another guitar center, when we came back to America at the end of the Canadian run. We would return it because I can get another monitor from Electro Voice after the fact, but I couldn't get it in time to go to Canada. So this was just like hellish logistics of touring, where we weren't going to be able to get a monitor in Canada. We had to get one before we got in so we were up early the morning that we were heading into Canada. So that a year ago today exactly was the day after we had conquered Canada, and we had one travel day to get to Boston, and we were driving all the way to Boston in that one day. And right about now, it's 7:30 right now on the West Coast. Dale, Kip, and Gino and I found a Guitar Center in, was it Buffalo, New York, I think? Maybe somewhere like that. And we came out of Canada, went to the Guitar Center, and we're returning that monitor. And that was happening like right about now.
Yeah. Right.
And then we went next door and we got dinner at some fast food joint.
I was at the same day that I had to it would have been on the 1st, and we had been in Canada. And so I remember I had to send rent back home. Back then, I didn't have electronic ability to pay my rent, so I needed to get a money order and send it. But I didn't have any money in the bank, and I hadn't been worried about hitting up Travis or you for hey, can I get some of this petty cash for paying my rent? And then all of a sudden we're in Canada. I'm like, well, this is not going to do me any good for a week. So I finally get out on the 1st, and there's no ATMs. We're not going to have time anyway, but there's no ATMs where we're going. And so I do this thing where I get enough from Travis in the van, just hey, let's stop here at a rest stop, which is sketchy, but I'm going to use the ATM just at random rest stop, not at a bank. But I just, what are the odds? I've never had it go wrong. It sounds sketchy, but it always works. And literally like a movie, I put $600 into this thing, and it just says there was a problem with your transaction. And I'm just staring at it, and I force open the door, and the cash isn't there. And I'm like, all right. So I get another 20 just to have another transaction to keep to see if the thing will work. And then it did that. And then I spent the whole rest of the trip calling Chase Bank saying, all right, what happens now?
Oh my God.
You got my money. I bet this is not my fault. It ended up working out, but.
And of course we were all, Gino's on here, by the way. He says Quebec was last year.
Oh yeah.
That's exactly right. So,
yes.
So yeah, the ATM debacle was on our way from Boston to New York.
Yeah. And then it turned out that the next day at the Nardulis, I was within about 2 miles. I was in jogging distance of a bank where I could just walk in. But
and we were all very short with Dale because we only had 4 hours to get to New York, and we were going to Manhattan, and that's always the biggest gig of the year. That's always the hardest logistics.
Well, and that's why I did that too. Is I'm not going to be going, hey, can we take 3 blocks out of the way in Manhattan? This is my one shot. We're at a rest stop, and what a nightmare. The road.
So many nightmares. I don't even want to talk about the nightmares in the other van.
Yeah, that's right. You were, I don't even.
Yeah, you guys don't know.
You were trying to correct whole customs fiascos, huh?
Oh, God.
Gino says, holy crap, I remember the look on your face, Dale, the evil ATM. And I'm thinking, he remembers the look on your face. Remember the look on my face.
Yeah, it wasn't your problem, but you're like,
Oh no, it was my problem, but it was.
Yeah.
But I was like, because I was all about the clock, and I was literally looking at it like we're a minute late, we're a minute early, we're a minute late,
Well, yeah, but I just got in the van and left. It wasn't like we're going to wait around for any banking officials to show up or something.
Right.
It was just the added stress into the whole situation where Dale's.
But we were all in the van waiting for you, wondering what happened to you. Like you were.
Oh,
it took you a while to come out. And we're like, what is going on? We are late. We got to go. What is Dale doing? And then finally you come running out. And you're like, ATM took my money.
All right, let's go. Nothing to do about it.
We were like, of course it did.
Yes, right. Perfect.
So, who was it? I just saw that. Tommy Quirk says, is that bass player named Brian? Well, of course. You've seen his rig. It's not only the heaviest rig in the world, it's the loudest rig in the world.
Yes, it is.
But he also needs the monitors to be louder than the rig. But I digress. I love you, Brian.
Yep.
Okay, so next, I saw a question like a long time ago on here. Someone asking what your favorite sitcom is.
Well, I think we've talked about mine.
Oh.
I think mine is WKRP.
Oh.
If that constitutes a sitcom, because, and this could go back to Randy Aller and Karen again, but quite honestly, WKRP for a musician is probably the most realistic sitcom. It's not really a sitcom.
Right.
Everybody, anytime, if you've spent hours and hours, months on end on tour and going to radio stations to promote yourself, like the kind of radio stations that are playing our music still are absolutely independent or student radio stations. And even university radio stations still have guys like Randy Aller at them. They're not necessarily all students. They're guys that have had shows there for a long time, and they kind of, I think, become like the elders and instructors of the student radio station. But that's the only place you can get this music played. So generally speaking, you're going to some independently owned radio station or school radio station when you're doing instrumental music. So they're all like WKRP. Because there's no format. The jocks program their own stuff. There's still records. At Randy's, just recently, Jen and I were looking at old video from our tour diaries on YouTube of us going to the Randy Aller show, and he had hallways and hallways of vinyl at that radio station, and they're all really like that. And the thing is, not just that, but the characters that are there are those people, like, just like the kind of people who become musicians, and there's different kind of categories of the different kinds of musicians, generally speaking. Same thing with DJs and people that work at radio stations. Now, Vicky won't take offense at this. I see her on here.
I know. You gotta chime in about Vicky. Come on now.
Now, Vicky, you'll support me on this. Not one DJ that works at a radio station really knows how to work any of that gear. Like, there's engineers and there's DJs, and they know how to do a few things, but like, if they ever actually have a problem, they know nothing about the board. They know nothing about how anything is wired, any of that stuff. She's laughing her ass off. I see. Every single time we get, even Vicky's show, we've done Guitar Shop Radio up in Portland. We've done it live a few times. And she had to bring in a second, like an engineer, a student engineer, to get the sound wired up, because anything that's not part of the broadcasting board is completely out of their realm, which is hilarious to me, being a musician, because honestly, all I want to do is play guitar and play shows with my band. But I am figuring out all these umbrellas with lights and tripods and cameras and editing software and all this stuff. And I'm just a guitar player. So it's funny to me that the DJs at these radio stations never know anything about sound.
Stephanie says Johnny Fever and I could drink together. She claims, and I will sort of corroborate, that she seems to be more and more competent the more she drinks. So like at the end of the day, when there's tons of like detailed type stuff and you're already frazzled, she's like, no, I'm better.
This goes back to explain to people that don't know, there's an episode of WKRP where, and again, it's about a radio station in Ohio. So Randy Aller radio station in Ohio, right?
Yep.
But in fact, when we first played Cincinnati, that was the most exciting thing. I was excited to see the downtown center with the fountain and everything the first night. I was totally going apeshit because, that's the intro to WKRP. That was, years and years ago we did that, but that's why I was so excited to be there. But anyway, Dale's talking about this episode where they had a CHP officer on, and they were doing a drunk driving awareness episode of a radio show. And they had Johnny Fever and Venus Flytrap, two of the DJs, battling over whose reaction, like every time you take a shot, your reaction gets worse. And Johnny Fever's got faster every time he took a shot.
Right.
So by the end of it, he's just killing it. And Venus Flytrap is like falling off the stool. But, Johnny Fever was one of those DJ guys. Like, he's the guy with like the stubble and, like the the Black Death T-shirt and scraggly hair, and we all know that guy. When we used to play on KOTR, which is a now defunct radio station that used to be here on the Central Coast, there was a guy named Richard I that looked a lot like Johnny Fever that we used to be on with all the time.
That show is the best. That show is the
Michael
best.
Serta would have called him, and actually today is Michael Serta's birthday.
True.
So,
Hey, guy.
Yeah. Here, I now I got to text him before I forget. I realize we're on the air.
Yeah, where's he? He should be watching us on his own birthday,
right?
So this is not related to WKRP, but a Who's the Man?
Happy birthday, guy.
Sitcom. Okay, ready? Mr. Roper or Mr. Furley?
Furley.
Yeah, Furley.
Hi, kids. Furley, there's no doubt about it. And Roper got his own show, but still, Furley.
That show had the best. Well, not that show. The going back to WKRP, I'm always marveling at what a great theme song that show had, where it just told the whole story in like 2 verses. I mean, there was more verses to that song. If you're a total dork like me and you go look up that song, but on the air, it just had 2 verses, modulated in the middle, told the whole story, was kind of bittersweet. It was amazing.
You're talking about
WKRP, not Three's Company.
Okay.
Tommy Quirk, by the way, saying Roper. You're the only one saying Roper, Tommy.
I don't know. I mean, Mr. Roper I think he had an understated humor that a lot of people didn't. He was so dry and so deadpan all the time, and he was a foil.
But it was all about the wife that wanted to have sex with him all the time, right?
Right. But that's why he was kind of like the foil kind of character. And there's something.
I'm almost getting them confused. I have to make sure I'm thinking of the right people.
I'm still messing with my light and this camera. I'm not sure how it's really looking, but.
So I've been watching these episodes of Starsky and Hutch I mentioned, since you're off on this whole tangent, right?
That's my other Who's the Man.
Uh-oh.
Well,
you just played on it.
It's mine too.
Oh, dang it.
This is how much Jen and I think alike. People don't believe it, and I say it. And we didn't talk about this, but here, you read my notes.
I can't read that. Are you kidding me? Here, you can read mine. No.
It says, "Who's the man, Starsky or Hutch?"
That's what mine says. Right above Mr. Roper or Mr. Hurley.
Okay, so here's the deal.
Have it.
Here's the deal. Al Maris. Hi, Al.
Hey, Al.
So first of all, Mr. Roper was on an episode of Starsky and Hutch, which was what made me think of this.
Okay, I get the full circle.
Right. But we're not talking about not the movie, but the TV show. Okay. It's a really tough call, quite honestly, because everybody's going to think Starsky. Everybody, because Starsky is the cool one. He's the upbeat one. He's always the fiery Italian. He's got the cool car, right? But every once in a great while, they would do a really, really good episode. And what people need to realize is that Michael Mann, who directs all the good movies like Heat, he directed the early Miami Vice episodes. He's directed like a lot of huge movies that are really, really good, great classic movies. He was directing some of those episodes of Starsky and Hutch early on, and they were doing groundbreaking stuff. And Hutch was the guy that was like he was actually the guy that would lose his shit, and just like completely go berserk and like do some serious acting and like
in the botulism show.
Well, he was the scary dude when something, when somebody needed to be intimidated stuff. Everybody thinks of him as like the refined guy, and he kind of was. He was the one that always trying to get Starsky healthy and everything. This is fascinating for anyone under 45, but
don't worry.
Wayne says, but Hutch had the hit song.
And Tommy says, Mike says, Huggy Bear. Yeah, he should have been in the third. Yeah, Huggy is really the man. That's sort of the.
That's a given, but
I have a total aside about that, but I don't want to disrupt what you're saying.
Right, But it's crazy how many of those episodes, and I'm not going to get into any specifics because it's, it would go down a rabbit hole, but it's crazy how many of those episodes are completely relevant today and don't even seem like, I mean, they look and sound like they were made 45 years ago, but the subject matter and stuff, those guys were pushing way before anybody else was about all kinds of stuff. But it's, if you go to Crackle, you can see the first 2 seasons of Starsky and Hutch, and it's free. Okay. Can you believe it's free? It doesn't cost anything.
Yeah.
Ray Hayden says, "Who's the man, Cagney or Lacey?"
Right.
Yep.
I forget
I was looking at his earlier one, which was the professor or the skipper.
Oh.
Raven's all over the Who's the Man's tonight. Cagney or Lacey.
On the front of Cagney and Lacey, Ray, I forget which one's which, but the one that was the one that played Dirty Harry's partner in I think the 3rd Dirty Harry film, that's the one. There was the pretty one, and then there was like the more masculine one. The more masculine one is the man.
Because she played
because he was a Dirty Harry partner.
Yeah, right. So, by the way, as long as we're talking about the professor and the skipper, this crowd all probably knows this, but people call Neil Peart the professor, and it seems like because he's smart or well-read, and really it's because his monotone cadence sounds like the professor on Gilligan's Island. That's why he's called the professor.
Yeah.
It's after the Gilligan's Island professor.
Right. Yeah, those guys were making fun of how like bland he was.
Yeah.
I think the real question, though, is Ginger or Marianne. That's always the boy question.
Yeah, although overwhelmingly...
Every real person thinks it's Marianne.
Yeah, it's kind of true.
Tyne Daly is the name of the actress.
Oh, wow.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's right.
Vicky and Tommy have brought that to our attention. And Wayne. And
Wayne's right on that. I'm not sure it's okay if you know it that quick.
Well, I should have known it, but I'm losing my mind with the apocalypse.
Speaking of the apocalypse, you know how with sheltering in place, I don't know if you guys walk around at night or not, but like wildlife is sort of getting bolder and finding its way into more and more civilized areas. And same with drug deals. So where I teach, there's no cars or anything. And one of the first interactions I had with a stranger since sheltering in place back in April was I parked and a guy walked up to me and looked like he was going to ask me a question. And I was a little nervous and he wasn't wearing a mask and I wasn't. And I put on my mask and he just leans way in and goes, "Are you Sleepy Bear?" And I was like,
"Oh my,
no, And he goes, "Oh, sorry." He walks off. And then he just kind of walks in circles around the parking lot for another 45 minutes or so. Eventually found his guy. But I'm like, really? You got to get at least one word off, Huggy Bear.
"Are you Sleepy Bear?"
Yeah.
That's literally what he said. I've never.
That's probably the guy that I'm going to make people go back into the old episodes for this, but that's probably the guy that left the guns in the gun case that you found, right?
Right. Right.
Just a quick overview. A couple episodes ago, Dale found a handgun and a rifle in a silver case that he saw the case and thought immediately, "Ooh, cool case," because that's who we are.
Dale's crazy and thinks he can put cymbal stands in a case.
Yeah, and then he opened it up and found out it was full of guns.
Tactical shotgun and a Glock and a bunch of shells.
Yeah, somebody left it on the side of the streets. And that's the kind of case you want to be picking up and putting your fingerprints all over.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
I got another Who's the Man for everybody. This is a serious musical one. One of these gentlemen I just had contact with today. This is really, we'll start with Dale for this. And he's not watching, so don't worry.
I don't know who everybody is involved.
You'll know this is for you. Don't answer the question like biasly. Just answer it like honestly, and everybody will be cool with that. I guarantee it. Who's the man, Dale? Marco Miniman or Vinnie Colaiuta?
Vinnie Colaiuta.
Not even a discussion, right? I
mean, it's a testament to Vinnie that it's that quick of an answer with Marco Miniman, because they're both the man. But one's an actual god, so like it makes it harder. Yeah. So yeah,
one's an actual god.
My phone just went off. I hope that's not Marco. My God.
By answering that quickly, I don't want to say any, like, they're both their own kind of the man. I mean, I'll say that. Marco is, we've talked at some length about how amazing he is, and how at some point with musicians, it's not the technique either. It's just how much like chunks of information the brain can process so fast. You know what I mean? Like, and Marco, we've talked about how he can just compose solos on the spot that require
just to interject completely
on Baltimore there or something.
No, Chuck interjected. He said, "Who's the man, Huggy Bear or Sleepy Bear?"
Oh wow.
Hey Jen, did you do something to your light? You look all cold now.
I know. I don't know what's going on with this camera. It's not staying. I don't know.
You're
just got cold suddenly.
You're all purpley.
Sorry. I don't know what to say about my visual status.
Tommy says they're both complete aliens. I can attest to that.
Yeah, they really are. Vinny is just this some level where I don't know how many people strike me this way, but he's just one of the people alive still on earth who have amassed that level of musical mastery in my mind, you know? And I mean, everything I say about Vinny, though, Marco sort of holds true of Marco too. But yeah, Vinny is just some next level. There's a funny story. I don't know if you guys remember this commercial, and probably nobody does, but about 10 years ago, there was a commercial. I think it was a Saab commercial, but it was a car commercial, and they got all these A-list session drummers to just play on some new, like a Fender material that was going to be sound isolating. And you had everyone. You had Jim Keltner, you had John Robinson, you had Vinny, and I read a couple interviews, and everybody said the same thing, where they're like, John Robinson, who was like on all these, you know, amazing #1 hits, was sort of the alpha male, and he just took charge. And they're like, but we were all just looking at Vinny like he's an alien. And like if he sees us, we're going to look away. We're scared of him, but we just want to check him out. Like all the best drummers in the world just feel like they're in the room with somebody that they could never approach.
Right, yeah. Right. You know, what's great about this feed that we have with all our friends here is that they can argue this stuff out themselves, and we don't have to taint our reputations with any kind of opinion. So Ray Hayden says Vi or Satriani, which, by the way, Ray, that's come up many times recently because many of our guests have been members of Vi and Satriani's bands. But Larry interjected and said, did I say Vay or Vi?
I think you said Vi.
Okay.
You instead of Ray, you said Vay.
Did I say Vay? I meant Vi. Ray, yeah. So Ray asked the question, but so Vi. So Larry says Vi is way more musical. That way Larry can be that guy, and I don't have to.
There you go.
Vinny says he just watched an hour-long interview with Vinny. Oddly enough,
yeah.
That was awesome. We've met both of them, but we've spent a whole lot more time with one of them.
Yeah.
And
one's a lot more approachable and agreeable, by the way. Marco is super easy to just hang with. Of all these super geniuses, he's like easy to just like hang out with.
And Larry says he was talking about Vinny.
Oh.
He's kidding, because he put V. He didn't actually put Vi.
Oh.
V. So Marco emailed me, and this has been a running joke in TLB world, but we were talking earlier about the song that we're going to post in a little bit here tonight. We couldn't do on the last tour. We did on the first 2 nights, and then we couldn't do it past that because I couldn't fit the keyboard in the Death Star. And this song requires a keyboard. The reason I couldn't fit the keyboard is because of this gong drum that Marco had, which is still sitting in storage above me in the loft. And he emailed today and said, "Hey, I just don't want to ignore that."
Oh, funny. Well, one of those stands is being a camera stand for me right now.
What is?
I was out of cymbal stands to mount a camera on for those videos that we're making, and I I had Marco's stand for half of that gong drum, so I just went into my storage and grabbed that. I was holding a camera, so he's not going to be able to have it back.
That's all right. He won't notice. But he did ask about the gong drum, but I think it was more because he was worried about being intrusive with it on my space. Like, oh, Trav still has that damn gong drum.
I bet he sat around for about 10 minutes going, hey, where did it go?
Where is the gong drum? So you got any jokes of the week, Jen?
Not really right now. Oh, I know.
Go ahead.
Why does Snoop Dogg carry an umbrella? For Dwizzle.
I don't know why that's so funny.
I have to go to the bathroom. I'm sorry. I'll be back.
Whoa. Wow.
I like how she just leaves the blank slate there too.
That is the way to do that right there. You don't sit there and go, hey guys, sorry. You just don't give us any option.
I mean, she could just say that and I could pull her out. We've got some Who's the Mans here. Ray Hayden threw one out. Another one, Porcaro or Copeland.
Oh, wow. That's a great one. Do you want to go first or me?
Well, I mean, it's like apples and oranges, but I mean, as much as people would say, I would probably say Porcaro because of the Luke tie-in and everything. I grew up more with Copeland, so I would say Copeland just based on my own exposure and upbringing.
I would. Here's why I think that's such an interesting Who's the Man is that it is apples and oranges. Porcaro is everything every drummer wants to be. He's got the deepest pocket in the history of fucking pocket. He really does. I mean, he's the baddest groove ever. And nobody who knows what Jeff Porcaro is all about would argue that. And then Copeland is this other category of what I would call important drummers, where he's had an influence that changed people's approach to drumming. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think Porcaro changed people's approach to drumming. He was just better at grooving than everybody. And that's what you should be doing. Copeland just had an impact on drumming that the world would be different if he hadn't existed. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so that's a great
I was going to say, when you said Porcaro is everything every drummer wants to be, the first thing that came to mind was Copeland is everything every drummer doesn't want to be. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but it's like,
but just
it's kind of true, right?
Rushing and yelled at by the singer.
Yeah. Like if you're going to be a guy that wants to just work generically, that's not the guy you want to be.
Right. He found his, he's a great example.
He's good in that band, right?
Yeah, he's a good example of game-changing players have to find the right situation for them to exist in. Jen, we had a Who's the Man of Jeff Porcaro and Stuart Copeland, and we were talking about how great that is.
That.
Oh, okay. But so yeah, if I had to choose who I wanted to be more like, I guess it would be Porcaro. But yeah, Copeland probably influenced more people.
Stephanie says you have two men. Are you talking about TLB?
Maybe she meant just they're both the man.
Yes.
There's only one man in TLB.
That's right.
Wait, what?
I was talking about the one with the arms. Larry says Copeland. Boyd says Copeland.
Yeah, see, I think he has a bigger impact on bigger number of people.
Although there are... I was looking, there was somebody, Jen has to dwizzle, Anthony said.
True.
That's pretty good.
You just gotta.
So how are you guys feeling about this?
About wrapping up?
We had talked before about with our guests, we've been having shorter shows because particularly the East Coast guys need to go to bed. So yes, some of our broadcasts have been shorter and we weren't really sure how we felt about any of that. So I'm still not sure how I feel about it. What do you guys think?
Well, we can show our new video.
Yep.
And wrap it for the week.
Sorry to interrupt you in those regards. I don't think I brought this up a couple weeks ago when it came out, but on markbase.com, there's a jam track there for bass players to play to, and guitar players and such. So
Here,
that was
going to try and
cool,
find it real quick.
little thing to do. That's at markbase.it.
Here, I'm going to see if I can find it real quick.
Very cool.
Let's see here. Talk amongst yourselves.
I sort of went to sleep on that. I was waiting for that to hit.
Oh yeah, it came out, and yeah, it's cool. They're doing, just during the quarantine, the Mark-based artists are putting together jam tracks for people to, just do their thing too. And they asked me to do it, so we did. I did a little snippet of K9 360, which was, it's not a song we play live, but it has some cool parts to it. And yeah, it's available at Mark Bass.
Some of the people are chiming in saying they like that track, so they've checked it out. Danny Peoples and Joseph Hasselman.
Here, I'm going to post a link to it right now. And this is the first ever released backing track from Travis Larson Band, ever in the history of Travis Larson Band. So cool. You can check that out. I just posted that. Let's see. What else? Anything?
What? Taco Bell is phasing out the 7-layer burrito?
True. I heard that. Or at least it seems like they phase things out so they can bring it back.
Well, let me follow that by saying, what did I tell you today, Jen?
Hasn't been bad enough.
Jen, what did I say to you today? Do you remember?
Say what?
Do you remember exactly what I said to you today when we were standing? I said something very specific. Completely. I said to Jen today, I said, I just want something to look forward to.
Oh. Right.
And here we are taking the 7-layer burrito out of circulation.
Hey, did I show you guys this? This is off topic completely, but as long as so during the pandemic,
as long as we're talking about burritos.
I was during the pandemic, normally you're just always thinking I'm always thinking about gear, but not buying anything because who has any money? And then I ended up spending any gear money I had on all the, cameras and interfaces and everything. And then at some point I saw one of these things that I've been looking for forever, but not taking seriously online. And I came across a Yamaha Anton Fig wood hoop. Jen, I don't even think I told you this, Jen. I told you this, Trav, but I didn't show it to you. And it's not even necessarily a TLB drum, although years ago in TLB, I did use a wood hoop drum, and you and I both liked it, Jen. I remember talking about how my rim shots were less doinky on that drum. And then when I got a metal hoop drum, I always kind of looked back and thought, maybe I should search for the right wood hoop drum. And then I saw one. They haven't been making them for a long time. And I saw one, and I just, out of character, pulled the trigger. Nice. I feel like that scene in American Beauty where it's like, it's a 1970 Pontiac. I wanted one my whole life, and now I have one. I rule. So anyway, I don't even know if it'll be a great
let's
live
hear
drum, but it'll be a good, just a warm session drum. And it can do this. It can do the doinky thing well if it wants. So it'll be a good session drum.
The doinky thing.
Nasal ringy thing. Nice rim shots. I don't know.
Yeah. Dale called me. I forget. That was like a week ago, right?
Yeah.
Dale calls me, and it's like one of those things. You get excited about one of those things,
but you're kind of embarrassed because you're not sure why you should have bought it.
Like he doesn't need it. He doesn't need it right now, certainly. But it's like right. I saw it available, so I got it.
Yeah, I'm buying acoustic drums. Who knows if there's going to be gigs or when they'll be? But anyway,
there will be.
Mm-hmm.
Vicky asked a question a second ago. She said this may have been covered earlier, but Jen and Trev, do you teach music to students like Dale does? Well, nobody teaches music to students like Dale does, number one.
Oh, that's true.
And right from that studio right there, he is geared up to do remote lessons right now. Yep. So
people walk in the door, people zoom into this office.
But no, the answer is no. I will reiterate, say I am doing a clinic on Monday that you can sign up for. It's in the description of this exact video that we're watching right now. So check that out. That is for the Live It Out Loud program up in Washington State that we would normally do a clinic for every year when we're on tour, going through Tacoma and Seattle. And since we can't be there, I'm going to be there virtually on Monday. And Jen is going to make her live stream directorial debut as a camera switcher, because I've got 8 shots set up, which is why I've got these white things everywhere in here.
White things.
It's like umbrella light things, It's like I've got. It looks like it's like if you were watching an episode of Starsky and Hutch and they were interviewing the model, they would be surrounded by these apparatuses.
Oh, right. Yes.
I'm in a studio where there's a model.
Yes.
Anyway, so we've been working on the TLV here, all the technical aspects for several weeks, and we finally got a whole camera switching system together. I can't use it with this program because this program is like total bare bones meat and potatoes just to allow us to virtually get together. But the switching system that I have together for this studio is working out really cool. I can do crossfades and wipes and all that kind of crazy stuff. Same kind of stuff that you can do if you were editing a video, but you can do it in real time live. So it's going to be very exciting. I don't even need to play well. You can just like watch the transitions and it'll be. I'm also going to bring back flailing. I think that's going to be a big thing.
Now, wacky wavy flailing. Now, if you were on Starsky and Hutch or like SVU, you would be the model in that studio, and people would come and ask you questions, and you would act like you didn't have time for it, when in reality it would be the most fascinating thing that happened to you all month.
Right.
People come to, do you know this person? They were murdered horrendously. And you're like, I don't have time to talk about this.
I like how you brought up SVU as not to alienate the under 45 crowd.
Yeah, I'm trying, I should have just said Law and Order.
Gino says she'll be better than the last camera switcher person. Sorry about that. Gino's referring to if you're going down a TLB rabbit hole on YouTube and you go to our YouTube channel and go to the Sound Mind videos, I think that's what. We did a studio performance shoot of us playing the Sound Mind record, and we ended up with a bunch of production videos just for promotion for that record. And originally we were shooting it all live, and these guys threw Gino on the switcher like at the last minute. Like we got loaded into this whole place and everything, and then the guy looks at Gino, who's never sat at this board before in his life, doesn't know anything about video switching, and he goes, "You know the songs better than we do, right?"
Yep.
So that's just what it takes to work for the TLB. You just have to be there. That's what it takes. You have to be there. All of a sudden, you're you make your directorial debut.
Yep. Show up, and things will happen for you.
Yeah, but if you go watch those videos, that's not Gino doing the transitions. We actually took all the footage after the fact and then edited it instead of using the live feed, because none of that stuff worked out. But it wasn't Gino's fault. There's a lot of other technical issues going on with the audio.
Yep. There's some lighting issues.
Yeah, right. Yeah, like they didn't have any lights on me.
Yeah.
At all.
And I remember what's ironic about it is we're focusing so hard to get through and just at least make it sound. At some point, you just go, forget it. Like showmanship is out. Now I'm just trying to sound good. And then if you realized in your mind that you were going to regroup and not use that audio, you would just be like, well, then I would have looked more engaging. But instead you're biting your lip and just focusing. Yeah.
But biting your lip and focusing can be very engaging.
Yeah, not from me.
Boyd says, thanks for promoting LSST. That's the shirt that I'm wearing. I mentioned earlier, Boyd got me. This is for a super, what would you call it, Jen?
Telescope.
Yeah,
much like the Hubble, but It's in a plane, and I think it takes photographs of the first layer of the atmosphere.
Flying
Ask
telescope.
Boyd, he knows.
I'll Google it. I'll Google it, Boyd.
It has something to do with space.
It's a telescope. It's a photographic instrument for space it is in a jet airplane.
Wow.
Something
That
along.
reminds me so we had Andy West on last week, and he sent me an email. We've talked many times about the TLB joke. There was a band back in the day that we played with that started this, where they were coming up with all kinds of different meanings for TLB, and we've heard all the goofy ones and everything. And so Andy sent me this email with this. If you look up TLB, you'll find on Wikipedia that TLB is a memory cache that it is used to reduce the time taken to access a user memory location. It is part of the chip's memory management unit. He thought it was, ironic and funny, being that
the acronym stand for.
Translation look-aside buffer.
Sorry, what, Travis? Harold just said SpaceX just left the space station.
Oh, did it?
Wow. Okay, cool.
Wow.
Oh, wow. Hi, Harold, by the way.
LSST stands for Legacy Survey of Space and Time, apparently.
Yeah, it's a big ass telescope, and Boyd built it.
So for all our friends watching right now, this is the part where, like, when the new guy comes into the show right now and thinks he's not smart enough to hang out, and he leaves. When really we've been here talking about Starsky and Hutch and WKRP for an hour.
Guys were talking about physics and stuff.
Yeah, they came in, they're like, I don't know, that Travis Larson Band, those guys are super nerds. But anyway, so Andy sent me this translation look-aside buffer, which is basically
Got it.
It basically makes accessing a memory location faster on a computer chip.
Okay.
But he thought that was ironic because, we're always accessing our memories really fast. You know. So
somebody weeks ago said, Dale, what you've been reading lately? And what you're saying segues into one of the books I read, which was Algorithms to Live By.
Ah.
So here's one of the things about the book Algorithms to Live By. When you're trying to minimize the time for retrieving information, if you're a computer coder, and I'm not, I'm just regurgitating what this book talks about. Most recently accessed is one of the things, that's one of your strategies, right? There's all kinds of different ways you could try to figure out how to retrieve information, but most recently accessed tends to be a good strategy for a lot of situations. And the practical application of the book is, those piles on your desk you feel bad about and you feel like you should file them in different places. That is a most recently accessed pile. Don't fuck with it. It will serve you the best because what's there. You can sort of look at it and go, I bet it's about there. It's a pretty good book. I can discuss it later.
Tell me the name again. I need to write this down.
Algorithms to Live By.
Okay.
In case there's any remaining doubt of what a dork I am.
Well, I've been reading Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance by Percy.
Nice. How are you liking that? I remember reading that long time ago, but I wasn't ready for it. I was too young. I just heard it was cool to read, but I wasn't ready to dig it. How do you like it?
It's amazing. I love it.
Is it? Okay.
I wish I had the time to sit down and read it, but I've been doing other stuff. I mean, finished it. I guess I should
right. Cool. Anyways, maybe I should give that another chance.
I will give Algorithms to Live By a shot.
Here's my take on Algorithms to Live By. It's really fun to read, but it's not really something you're going to adopt in your life that much. It's just kind of fun to think about. It basically applies computer science and those types of ideas to how to live.
Yeah. I am looking at the stack of RAM on my desk right now that you speak of.
Yeah. Well,
file that I shouldn't touch, but I want to clean.
Well, I've done that a bunch of my life where I go, oh man, I should file this and make it neater. And then I'm like, oh, I knew where it was before I organized it.
Right.
Anyway.
I have a big stack of books that I haven't even gotten to yet that I just am not motivated to, but I should.
Yeah.
I started reading the Phil Collins one, and I just haven't. I got through the Mike Rutherford one, and I wanted to do the Phil Collins one back to back, and I just haven't gotten through it. And then now I have the Joe Satriani one about his early demos and records and stuff that his engineer brought to me at our show in Sacramento and signed for me.
That's right.
And I still haven't read that yet, but it's sitting there in the pile of books. And there's Eric Clapton book, I think, too, that you gave me. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah. That was in one of those free libraries near my house.
Yeah, I still need to read that. I like the music books, but I just haven't been reading. I've been sitting on the internet and looking at pellet guns.
Pandemic hobbies.
I mean, at 3 a.m, after I get through an episode or two of Starsky and Hutch, then I look at pellet guns.
Jimmy Brogan said, "What possessed you to find and read that, Dale Moon? Fascinating." Jimmy, if you knew the kind of nerdy crap I read, maybe I will broach that topic next time.
So a couple of mentions here. One is Tommy. This refers to earlier in the webcast. I mentioned 81 best year ever. So he's explained that. Well, all the cool stuff happened in 81.
I was 11. How you were like what? Wait, I just dated myself. Never mind.
Like all the stuff that I grew up at least listening to. I mentioned that earlier. This came up earlier for anyone that didn't hear me. Today is the first day of MTV in 1981. So August 1st. And we have a world premiere video tonight to commemorate the first day of MTV. So MTV started. I dug music. The Stones' Tattoo You album came out and Tattoo You Tour. Genesis was touring on the Abacab album. WKRP was on the air. I mean, it goes on and on and on. I'm not even going to think of it all, but you find anything cool. I think I saw Night Shift at the drive-in movie theater, which is Michael Keaton's very first movie.
Among his best roles, by the way.
Absolutely. I don't know, all kinds of stuff. 81 was just a great year for rock and roll and cool stuff.
I was actually going to ask who's the man, the 1970s or the 1980s?
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with 70s.
Yeah.
I feel like my answers are different based on whether I'm thinking of world perspective or just how old I was at the time. 80s were more formative for me because I was a teenager.
Yeah.
But they were a lot more vapid in some ways. How about you?
There he goes with them big words again. Well, I feel the same. Like I was, just kind of such an adolescent in the 70s, a child and then adolescent. And 80s were more formative for me. But so it depends on if you're talking musically or culturally or whatever. So I don't know. It's a tough one.
Yeah.
But it crossed my mind earlier. So I thought since Trav's going on and on about 1981, I'd throw it at you.
So
that's an impressive synopsis of 1981, by the way.
There's a lot more to it. I just can't come up with it all right now.
I remember 81 is such a hazy year for me, man.
I mean, 81 the first year that Eddie Murphy was on Saturday Night Live. I mean, there's so many things, right?
Somebody mentioned that Night Shift was 82, Travis. So maybe
I could be wrong about that.
Oh yeah,
I could be wrong about that. Actually, I knew I was, but I was trying to sneak it in. I didn't think anybody would be geeky enough to actually know that. I was grasping at 1981 straws. How about the Dregs? They came out with a good record in 1981. Okay, so Tom Harris mentioned Hardcastle and McCormick because we were talking about duo buddies. Here's my thing with Hardcastle and McCormick. Jen doesn't really have any knowledge of that show, but her mom used to watch that show on reruns every afternoon. And her dad has no recollection of this. Like he's like, Hardcastle and McCormick, we never watched that. And we're like, oh yeah, Joan was watching that every day. So Jen and I would go by there in the afternoon, and she'd be watching Castle McCormick, and then whatever it went into. But these were the rerun years, But anyway, so I don't know if he's asking who's the man, and none of you are qualified to answer that question, I'm sure.
Nope.
All these go back. Go ahead.
Just my level of TV knowledge geekery, though, I will tell you that Hardcastle in real life ended up taking his own life because he had cancer. I know, not to bring the room down.
Wah, wah.
But McCormick played the father in Cujo.
Wow.
Oh, that's right.
The curly-haired guy.
I never know which one
Exit
Hardcastle.
stage left. Thank you, Boyd. Exit stage left, 1981.
Yeah, Cujo. That was some kind of movie. And who played in Salem's Lot?
Yeah, Hutch.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Damn.
Stephen King likes the cop show characters.
Yeah, David Soul was in. So my brother sent me this thing the other day. I'll never going to remember the name of it. Somebody will. This is like way beyond me. He sends me this thing and he goes, there's a channel on Sling TV that has this. So I go and I find it. It's like some super old retro channel on Sling TV that shows stuff that's disappeared. So these are like TV movies from like 1974 that never been seen again because they were so bad. And he sends me this one. He goes, you got to check this out. And it's David Soul starring in this TV movie from 1974 on NBC about a UFO that the Air Force sees and then tries to hide. But it's like, so it's been lost. It literally looks like the VHS tape was transferred back to digital so that they could show it on television. Wow. Now. It's so bad. You can't even recognize him in the pictures. So Craig Hill says, because of that show, I like the demon that drives my dreams. That's theme song for Hardcastle McCormick.
Oh, wow.
That's a great theme song. See, that's why all that stuff sticks, because of the theme songs. When you're talking about the 70s, you talk about Starsky and Hutch. Those are classic TV theme songs that are awesome.
They are.
I mean, those are like some fusion majesty, right? You've got Tom Scott. You've got two versions with Tom Scott, and then there was a guy who did the second season who it was all Moog synthesizers, and it was in 5/8 time. And it flip flops every time. I can't remember the name of it.
I know the music, but I don't know any of the shows. And that goes back to earlier when we discussed favorite TV shows. There's this trifecta of I didn't have the access to these shows anyway, living up in Humboldt County, and B, I had ADHD to a level where there's no possible reality where I could sit still for an hour anyway. And then just maybe it's not a trifecta. It's just those two things.
So Harold says 1981 sucked. Yankees lose to Dodgers in World Series. Now here's the thing, Harold. We used to go see the Dodgers.
Oh man.
Tommy said
Harold Travis beef now.
I know. I love Harold so much.
Oh my God.
Next time we show up to a gig, if that ever happens, we're gonna
There's no New Yorker that is scared of California sports fans, I'll tell you that.
Yeah. I don't really care, Harold, but it's kind of funny.
That's because you're a California sports fan.
I do have a Dodger pennant from like 1978, I think. 77 from a game that I went to. Anyway, where was it? Where'd it go? These comments are moving by now.
Why did Mozart hate chickens?
Why?
Because when he asked them who their favorite composer was, they said, "Bach, Bach, Bach."
That's good.
We gotta go, Travis.
Okay, I'm sorry. I was looking. I lost a comment I was looking for.
Was it sports related or Harold, or was it?
Cujo is why I love cats. That's what Stephanie says.
Was messed up, man. Oh my. Awful.
Oh, where is it?
We'll have to ask the next time. Favorite Stephen King book?
Oh, Tommy Tommy says he remembers that movie, the movie with the David Soul movie. It's got a bunch of people in it. It doesn't matter.
You'll have to post it in the links, Travis.
Yeah, I don't think I can do that, but I am going to post a link to our world premiere video that we're releasing tonight.
Oh yeah.
And I'm also going to remind everybody that Monday at 6:00, I'm doing a guitar clinic virtually. And the links for the sign up are in the description for this feed right now. If you go there, you're supporting a music program it's basically a summer music camp for kids up in Washington that we do a clinic for every year called Live It Out Loud. So check that out. I'll be on for about an hour, maybe a little more on Monday. And I'm going to talk about composing and play a few songs and take questions and all that kind of stuff. Answer any weird gear questions anyone has. And then it's our first multicam feed here from the treehouse. So it's going to be very exciting. And then after that, if that goes well, then we're going to announce a live stream performance again, probably a week from this Wednesday. So that's what's going on. All the support Travis Larson Band links are in the description. And I'm going to find right now.
And thank you, everybody, for your support during these unusual times. Yeah, we don't say it often enough, but it's so fun to be here with you guys. And I don't know. And thank you for listening to all our goofy bullshit.
It's amazing.
Honestly,
no, kidding.
This is honestly the only thing I have to do on a Saturday night. So
it's heartening that, we can just show up here at 7 on Saturday and there's people here with us. It's fun.
Yeah, it's so cool. It's a total trip and it's so awesome. Yeah. I know we don't always get to everybody's comments because someone's yakking all the time over on this end, but it's so fun. It's so cool.
I wore a moon shirt and nobody said anything.
Oh my gosh. That's awesome. Does it glow in the dark? It looks sort of like a...
I don't think so. I haven't worn it at gigs because it's so much silkscreen. It's kind of would be but I figured I'd try it on on this show.
That's perfect for the SpaceX, the Dragon. I didn't realize they were leaving the space station tonight.
Me either. Yeah.
Hey, I know this is going to be a quick rabbit hole here, but last night I was clicking around and I caught the newest installation of the Mad Max movies, the one with Charlize Theron.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Has anybody seen that? And what do you think of it? I know Gino loves it, so you don't have to chime in, Gino. And here's the thing, I don't want to taint anybody's opinions, but I will say that it looks like it's all CG and there's no CG. That's the whole point. So it's all the crazy stuff. It's an hour and a half of just crazy stunt after stunt after stunt. And he did all that stuff and he did it at a higher rate. I read an article about it after watching it where he did 2,700 bits in this episode. And it was only something like 1,200 in Road Warrior, as far as little stunts or shots or scenes where they were doing some kind of something that had to be worked out technically. But anyway, have you guys, I think Jen saw it.
I only saw it once, so I can't really comment, on the details of how many action sequences there were.
Are we talking about Fury Road?
Yeah.
Okay.
Being a kid, because in 1981, Road Warrior came out.
Got it. Nice. Full circle. I don't feel like I'm as steeped in the Road Warrior legacy as say you, but I like that. And what you're saying is true. Knowing that stuff was real live action stuff is impressive, and I liked it. But I don't know. I don't compare it to the other ones, I guess, is where maybe I fall down. So I liked it.
What's really interesting to me is they started talking about it in 2000 and Mel was supposed to be Mad Max again. Mm-hmm. And that's actually a thing. I had heard rumors of it. And then when I read the article, I found out it was all true. And they were basically going through so many hurdles for so many years that by the time they got around to being able to make it, Mel had kind of gone through all the crap he went through. And it was all of a sudden that was an issue. And then there was an issue with they wanted the guy to be vibrant and still believable as a guy that would survive in that environment and be tough. And, it's getting hard to do when you've got a guy in his 60s. So anyway, but I guess they showed it at a drive-in last night down in Southern California for like some kind of a social distancing movie thing. And Charlize Theron and the guy who played Max, I think, were there answering questions and stuff.
Oh, wow.
It was just like one of those things to do kind of events. But it was on TV last night, so I checked it out again, and I was like, knowing that it's all real, it's like a lot more entertaining. You kind of watch it and go, if I, originally I kind of thought it was all CG because they put so many filters on the film, but then you watch it and you just go, holy crap, this is real.
Wow.
So
I think I knew enough about it when I was watching it. I've only seen it once like Jen, but it almost made me sort of motion sick but I think knowing what you're saying made for it to be more impactful for me. Like it really had, it was like, whoa, this is gnarly. But if I had just thought they computer generated all this stuff, I wouldn't have had that same response.
Tommy says Master Blaster run Bartertown.
And Mel Gibson was alive in 1981. So there you go. The only real reason 1981 was so spectacular. Mel Gibson was alive.
Was Debbie Gibson alive in 1981?
Ooh.
Yeah. Oh God. Okay, we gotta go. Thank you, everybody.
I'm going to post the link right now.
Yes,
so go watch new video.
Here's the link to our world premiere video. There it is. Go check it out. I'm going to also post it above this feed so everyone could comment on it after this shuts down. And then tomorrow I will spread it to the rest of the world. But tonight it's specifically for you guys. So thanks for hanging out with us on this Saturday night. We don't exactly know when and who the future guests will be. We have kind of a list of floating friends that we're going to bring in and out as this continues, as we have been doing. But we figured we'd just hang out as TLB since it's been several weeks of Dixie Drag craziness. And it seemed like we ought to just talk about geeky TV stuff for a night.
Right.
So, all right, kids.
All right.
I'll see you next week.